I'm Kurt with Royal Pest Solutions. We're going to do a Carpenter Bee treatment today. I want to go through the equipment that we'll use for that treatment just briefly. We have a variety of different dusters that we can use for that purpose. We can use a bellows duster. This duster is good for a straight shot. If you have a Carpenter Bee hole that's just a straight shot in, this one works fine for that. Most of the Carpenter Bee holes that we're going to be treating today are going to be up behind a fascia board and in a slightly trickier spot. So we're going to use this type of duster for most of the holes that we'll treat today. This is a bulb duster. I like the extended rod, and it's bent on the end. I can get up behind the fascia board and treat those holes with that. This is my favorite for this purpose. Bulb duster also comes in a smaller model. This one is good for ground nesting bees, and this has a dust chamber, and it's fitted onto a pump. So you just fill it with the dust, and it just pumps it out like that. And it has several extension poles that you can use to reach those high places. Okay, so we're going to use the central bulb with the extended wand. This is my preferred piece of equipment for treating Carpenter Bee holes that are on the other side of the fascia board. I've got the nice angle on there. We're going to fill this up. Now, before I do this, I want to put a dust mask on. Although this is a low-tox pyrethroid insecticide, we don't want to breathe this in. Safety glasses with side guards. What we do is we open up our central bulb duster. We're going to shake and agitate our dust for flowability. I'm going to hold my hand around it to kind of funnel that dust in. We want to fill it about 3/4 of the way full. Cap it. And we're ready to go. The first sign of a Carpenter Bee infestation, other than the appearance of the Carpenter Bees themselves in the springtime, will be the frass that the female Carpenter Bee is going to kick out when she makes her perfectly round 5/8 inch hole. So this is an indication of an early infestation and a good sign that there's going to be a Carpenter Bee hole directly above that frass. And this will be your second stage of Carpenter Bee infestation. When she's etched out the hole that she's going to use, that hole is going to be a right angle, 5/8 inch hole that goes up, takes a right angle, and then she's going to make a series of chambers that she'll oviposit into, and then she's going to pack that whole nest, if you will, full of pollen, which is what the larval form feeds on. So this second stage is indicated by a swath of pollen that she's kicking out and that's falling off of her hind legs as she climbs in and out of this live hole. So you have several on this side of the house. Okay, so we're ready to treat. What we're going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to run it along the back side of this fascia board, and I'm going to find those live holes. So I've got one right here. Then I'm going to stick the end of that central bulb in there like that, and I'm going to squeeze that dust in. And then we're going to move along down the line and treat all the live holes we can find. You want to make sure your ladder's secure. This is a tall ladder. We're going to be up. It's not excessively high, but it's high enough to be very, very careful. We want to make sure that our feet are in position here. I'm going to double check that. We need to make sure these locks are in place. We're going to double check that as well. safety first, this is going to be your best bet on an area where you can't use a ladder. We'll put it in the hole, and we're going to use this pump to get that dust in there. We have a fish pond here. We've got it covered with plastic. We don't want any pesticides in the fish pond. You have to be very careful with our application here. Fortunately, we've only got one hole over this area, which we're going to treat now. Be a little more conservative with that one. Start to get clever and hide their holes into places that are a little more difficult to treat. In this particular instance, they're going to start trying to hide them behind rain spouts. Always want to check behind rain spouts. Dusted every hole we can find, and we've done the best we can to solve this problem for our customer. We're already seeing the numbers of carpenter bees reduced dramatically since we started this job an hour ago. You can still see a couple of them flying around. Those could be males, or they could be females that haven't yet returned to the holes that we've treated. But we feel pretty confident at this point that we've solved this problem.